There's. We did start early.
I think so.
Or late.
It was at
Bam.
10:07. They started at 10:04.
Oh, okay. Oh, they started early. Look at them. Bam.
Yeah,
We're live. We're live.
I'm going to give JR a hard time about that. He needs to communicate to the broadcast.
Yes, absolutely.
It's actually something that the competitions that incorporate broadcast for the first time often forget, because, as I mentioned, he has a good stream of communication with his established teams. But broadcast would be a new team that's here this year. Now, this is the first heat of women. They're doing the exact same workout as the Masters did. That's Celine Gonzalez, and that's what we're going to call her this weekend, right, Sevan?
Yes, Celine Gonzalez. Yes, Celine. What's
5
the real
foot,
name? Celine
listed at
Gomez?
5 foot, 102 pounds, Celine Gonzalez. Sevan, Tyler is going to share with you the scoring system, the scoring document.
Okay.
There's a tab on there that's called Masters Women Official.
Okay.
And it is up to date and accurate. It has been for a few minutes already. It didn't take long for him to do that. Obviously, there's only 8 data points to enter. But if at some point you want to pull that up, we can talk about what we see on the screen. And I think maybe we can even bring Tyler in to tell you what you're looking at if you'd like to do that.
Okay. And we'll do that once we get some scores in there after the individuals go?
I mean, we could look at it for the Masters. They're already in there.
Okay.
But if you want to wait, you can as well.
That sounds
anyway, for anyone who's just joining us, this is event 1 on day 1 for the elite individual women. They're doing a rewritten version of Aeneas, which was the 2018 CrossFit Games finale. This workout is 3 rounds for time. The women have 2 pegboard climbs, 15 calories on the ski erg, and a 100-foot Zercher yoke carry. You see the pegboards there. Beautiful place to do the pegboards here at CrossFit Crash. He uses them frequently in programming and in competition. And through the first round of heat number 1, it was Celine Gonzalez leading the way. The 6 women competing in this heat. Lane 1 is on the far side of the screen as you're looking at it. Emily Myers in lane 1. Mariah Burkhardt is lane 2. Celine Gonzalez, lane 3. Grace Lochner, lane 4. Callista Schaffner, lane 5. And Sienna Wilkening. That's a tough name. Sienna Wilkening, lane number 6.
Who is this in lane number 5 with us right here?
Callista Schaffner.
Callista. The event that Brian was so eloquently describing is taking place at CrossFit Crash. The name of the event is the Crash Crucible. It's in its 4th year. Teams and masters have already started their day, which we broadcasted earlier on another stream. And here we are with the individual elite starting. These are some of the best CrossFitters in the world, both in men's and women's divisions.
Yeah, and cool aspect of this competition is that the Masters division is doing the same workout. So we've already seen a top time of 6:52 put up by Caroline Klutz, 7:14 from Hannah Oakley. And JR thinks that both of those times have the potential to be top 5 or 6 amongst the entire elite women's individual field. Currently, we have 3 women that are picking up the yoke in round 2 at the same time. On your screen there is Emily Meyer in the gray and black. Celine Gonzalez also wearing gray and black. And then in the foreground right there in the green is Sienna Wilkening.
Sorry, that was my fault.
What?
I switched cameras right as you said in the foreground.
Oh, so that's Sienna. But by the way, if that name is Sienna is difficult for you, you can call her CJ.
Okay, and you can see the coaches coaching. You can see the guy in the blue there telling his athlete, "Hey, pick it up, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1."
There's Celine. So at this moment, there's 2 athletes that are starting in on the pegboard. Celine Gonzalez coming to join them. That's in the final round. 2 other athletes in lane number 2, Mariah Burkhardt and Callista Schaffner, are working on the ski in the second round. And Grace Lochner is resting between pegboard attempts in the second round as well.
Brian, as far as the workouts go this weekend at the Crash Crucible, what's the time domain of this one and how does it fit into the big picture?
This is a 14-minute time cap. We saw all the Masters women finish underneath 11 minutes. Later today, they have a 19-minute time cap. Tomorrow, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. And then on the Sunday, 25, 5, and 5. So you got a pretty good range of short to long in terms of the time caps But some of those time caps are much longer than will be needed for the best athletes on specific tests. And when we get to those things, we'll kind of explain more specifically why that is. But it has to do with the scoring.
And putting a 5-minute workout on the last day, that's sort of like a hey to allow the athletes to like, hey, you can do it. This one's short. Get your head wrapped around it. Give it your all.
Maybe. Those workouts are not easy. They have very high skill gymnastics and demand.
Have we seen any failures today so far on the pegboard? By failures, I mean anyone who just completely cannot do it, or are we past that in terms of the evolution of the sport?
Well, we have not seen anyone who can't do it, but Grace Lochner in lane number 4 has been standing there for several minutes looking at the pegboard. She's actually getting set to start one now. So I'm guessing she's only 20 years old. It's an athlete that James Sprague is here coaching and working with. And that's Celine Gonzalez. On the right of her will be Grace, who's going up the wall. And she's, clearly, and in fact, she just almost had a stumble near the top of the wall. So it's clearly a challenging implement for her. And it's, this is her right here at the top, and she's uncomfortable. You can see it in her body language, and it's really scary when you're up there and you don't practice it a lot, and you're near the top, and you're not sure if you're going to be able to hold on. So she's fighting hard right now to try to get back below this blue line and make this effort count.
Austin Hartman, I've been asking my gym owner for over a year to hang up the pegboard. Things just sitting in the corner. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable.
So she's so close to finishing this rep. She can't get that right peg out of the hole. In the meantime, in lane number 6, we have an athlete who's about to finish the workout. Sienna Wilkening, with 8 minutes on the clock, is going to set the early time to beat here for the individual elite women.
Did she get below the tape?
And Wilkening is in about 8:10 on the clock for her, and I'm not sure if she got below the tape or not. It looks like I'm not sure.
Wow, if she didn't get that rep, that was a lot of work for that rep. She did not. Wow.
She did not.
Oh my goodness. Hey, what was the problem there? Was the peg stuck in the wall? What was going on? What was the problem?
Yeah, she was having trouble removing it, and it's a matter of leverage or just, I don't know. So I just don't think she's practiced that very much. She was practicing the flip sled yesterday, which she also hasn't got many touches on. I think she's quite good, but when you don't have opportunity to practice some of these things, then that's one of the reasons that people come here, is because they know they're going to get to do stuff that they don't often get to do either in training or in many other competitions. Celine Gonzalez working on her last 100 feet of Zercher carry here.
You cannot effectively pull the peg out of the wall while you're also hanging from it. And so there's a nuance there where you have to push the peg up just a tiny bit, just with maybe half a pound of pressure, and pull out at the same time. And if you don't know that, or that's not intuitive for you, and I would throw that in there with what's called athleticism, common sense, logic, what makes someone a good athlete. But I wonder if that's what was going on. She was just hanging on the peg and forcing it to get stuck.
And there was a great shot there where you could see the yoke completely on the other side of the white line. The way that JR wrote the standards is the footprint of the yoke must pass the entire line. And there have been several athletes through 3 heats who've dropped it with one of the feet still touching the white, and the judges are telling them to get it across. I love the standard footprint across. It's black and white. There's no room for error. Celine Gonzalez is in 9:53 for her. Emily Meyer is on her last carry, and Callista Schnaufner is chasing her down. They're going to finish very close to each other here. Emily's in 10:05. Callista's in 10:07. Now, the cool thing about the performance scoring that you guys are going to see is that those times will be very, very close once the scores come in on the scoring, because they're only 2 seconds apart. So battling for those little seconds there should have a greater impact on her score, on Callista's score relative to Emily's, than it would have on a points per placement scoring format.
Is that one of the teen athletes? That girl looked young.
Which one?
The one that was smiling into the Suzicam. She's on the screen right now signing her card with her back to us.
Emily Meyer. She is quite young, and you have access to this information. She's 17 years old.
Maybe I should click a different tab. Elite women.
I'm trying to use Sousa's computer to pull up some other stuff as well. So he's nice enough to lend me that so I can have multiple monitors instead of flipping between tabs. You don't have multiple monitors over there?
I do, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, that's all right. We'll get you sorted out. I would have that thing open on one of your other monitors for you to reference it. So here we see the equipment team coming in. That's Mariah Burkhardt. She's left her pegs up on the wall. Her and Grace Lochner are both stuck on the pegboard here. Grace is in the second round. Mariah's in the last round. There's 2.5 minutes to the time cap. And Grace is definitely not going to finish this, but 5 heats to go. Is it 4 or 5 heats? 4 more heats to go. You know, you never know if other women are going to struggle with it. So even if you can get another pegboard climb in, it could make a difference.
Halpin Emily is the youngest athlete in the field at 17. Lydia Fish is 19. Thank you. And was that Emily who I was referencing in the shot? Boy, she looked young.
Yes. Sevan, do you have the scoring that I sent you open for the Masters division?
Did you send it very recently?
Yeah, it's called Crash 23 Prep.
Oh, yes. I see it. I can open it. Yep, I just opened it.
Okay, we're going to open that up. We're going to bring Tyler in to explain to you the Masters scoring as we go between heats 1 and 2 of the individuals here.
Can you send that to Caleb?
I can ask Tyler to do that, yes.
Okay.
So go to the tab that says Masters Women Official.
Is there anything I could open accidentally here that would be bad?
No, but just click on Masters Women Official and stay there.
Okay. Because I have no business having access to buttons where I could push something bad. Jeremy E. World, really loving the coverage, guys. Like and subscribe if you're new here. Well, even if you're not new here.
Grace Lochner is on the pegboard there attempting another rep. There's less than 1 minute to the time cap. Mariah Burkhardt is resting at this moment, but she's going to give one more attempt with 40 seconds to go. Grace is nearing the top of the pegboard, and it's I don't know. You can see she's already slipping off the top there. She still has to control all the way back down.
She can't get the peg out. She's hanging. She's hanging.
She's going to drop.
She's got to push up.
And we see that they have the crash pads there. Very important for JR to make sure that the athletes feel safe to drop if they need to. They've all have had a chance to practice that, as we mentioned. Mariah comes off the wall as well. So this is going to bring to an end the first heat of women. And unlike the Masters division, we had some women that didn't finish. Later on, we'll talk about how that will affect them on the scoring. But Tyler should be joining us here in a second to review the scoring for the Masters Event 1 results.
And here is the sheet that you were requesting. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Okay, I think I have it queued up.
Yeah, this is nice so people can see this distribution of the points. And it's really, like, obviously there's 100 points for first. We'll talk about the zeros in a second. But really, if you look in the middle part of that scoring system, the 3 points in the middle.
That's me. That's me.
So in particular, I'm looking at Holly Henderson, Stacey Marino, and Mackenzie Riley. They have 20 seconds total between the three of them. And in the scoring system, you can see that the points are relatively close, especially when there's only 5 seconds between Stacey and Mackenzie, as we talked about, that ends up being a difference of less than 3 points on the leaderboard. But let's let
Tyler, what's up, dude? Welcome to the show, buddy.
Can you hear me all right?
Yep, hear you great.
Awesome. What questions do we have?
Oh, I want to hear you explain this.
Yeah. So we care about the difference between athletes, right? This field is really, really small. There's only, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 athletes in the field. And so if you use straight linear or straight scoring, like 5 points per place, you can get a lot lost. Like, look at the difference between Stacey Marino and Kenzie Riley. Like, there's 5 seconds between them. That's nothing, right? So do they deserve 10 points between them in the games? No.
Okay. I see your point. Yep.
And actually, that scoring's inverted. I need to fix that.
Oh,
but
meaning Mackenzie Riley. No, it looks correct.
Let's see here.
Stacey Marino has more points than Mackenzie Riley, and she beat her by 5 seconds. That looks right.
There we go. That fixes it. So anyway, yeah, so it just takes into account, like, essentially between these athletes, the points were worth, like, for every minute, it was 16 points. That's the easiest way to think about it. It's a straight line.
I do like that. I like thinking about it like that. That's good. Yeah. And so that's figured out by how much time is in the workout and how many athletes do the workout, basically.
Yes.
Those are the two
So-
primary factors.
Here's what you'll like, Sevan. First should get 100 points, obviously, right?
Yep.
And then some, like, the argument I always make is somewhere around halfway through the field should make 50 points. Correct?
Yep.
Like, we can agree on that. So the difference between those two things is 50 points. You divide it by the time. It's points per second or points per rep or whatever. And it's a straight line. Now, what happens, towards the end with these girls, with Haley Murillo and Amy Fritt, is they were.
But pause there for a second.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
in this case, the difference between the best score, which was 6:52, and the median score, which was 8:12, is 1 minute 20 seconds. So that's from 100 to 50 points. The same amount of time is the difference from 50 points to 0. So if you take the median score, which is 8:02, and you add 1 minute 20 seconds, or 8:12, and add 1 minute 20 seconds, that's 9:32. Anyone that finishes after 9:32 is further away from the median than the winner was, and therefore gets a 0.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Okay.
So we'll pause on the scoring for a second. Let me introduce the women here in heat number 2. Heat 2 for the women: lane 1, Sydney Moskovitz; lane 2, AJ Hutchinson; lane 3, Lindsay Derby; lane 4, Lexi Colabianchi; lane 5, Ariel Saunders; and lane 6, Bree Dunbar.
Can you tell us who these people are in the screen so I can get to know them when I see them? Like, who's this dead center right here with the white thing in her hair?
Dead center white thing in her hair is lane number 3. That's Lindsay Derby. She's from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I actually met her coach up at the Masters Fitness Championship this last weekend, and she was there on Sunday volunteering as a judge.
Are all these ladies using the same technique with the yoke? This looks like a new one to me. Hands open.
It's not new, but some of them have the different widths. Some of them have put their hands together. Some of them have used them apart. But for most of them, I'm guessing that until they saw this come out, they've probably not done this movement before. So it could be still some figuring it out on the fly. That who just dropped there was AJ Hutchinson. She's in lane number 2, and she is, I believe she's in the back of the heat. The woman in lane number 6.
Who's this who's winning in lane 5? Who's this she's winning this one, lane 5? Who's this?
Oh, yeah. That's Ariel Saunders. And she was very impressive in the first round. Flew up the peg. And you'll see when she does her yoke carry that it looks like very extremely easy for her. Sevan, is that choppy for you on that camera?
Yeah, some of the sorry. I was reading the
Okay. So here's Ariel
Sanders profile. Thank you.
Here's Ariel Saunders. She's finishing up the 100-foot Zercher yoke carry in round number 2. She's one of the bigger athletes in the field. These strength implements look great for her. What I've been impressed with is the pegboard. As she's walking within purpose back there, and she'll get set on her last round of 2 pegboards, and we can maybe see how she looks. On the ski erg there in the middle of the floor, Lindsay Derby, and just off the camera on the left is also Sydney Moskovitz. They're in second and third in the heat right now.
And Ariel Saunders, who we saw was in the lead, Brian was mentioning, she's one of the taller athletes, 5'8", took 523rd in the Worldwide Open this year.
Yep, she's on the pegboard now. There's Lindsay Derby coming back to her yoke in round number 2. She's second place in the heat right now. Third place in the heat is going to be Bree Dunbar. She's in lane 6, and she's picking up her yoke carry starting at the end of round number 2.
And Ariel Saunders, man, she's broken out of the pack, right? She's all alone now.
She's all alone. 5 minutes on the clock. We know that last part of the ski plus yoke carry can be done in 90 seconds or so. The top time so far is 8:10, and so she's looking very good in terms of establishing a new time to beat.
She spends a lot of time on the wall too.
Finished with her pegboard, 5:20 on the clock, so she could be flirting with a sub 7-minute time here. She got 15 calories and 100 feet of Zercher yoke carry to go. Lindsay Derby, Bree Dunbar are both starting their final round of pegboards. Sydney Moskowitz is working on her Zercher carry in round 2. Those are the top 4 in the heat right now.
Great rotation, Souza. Great rotation.
So that's Ariel Saunders in the foreground. She's on her third round. The other 2 women you see on the screen there in the red shorts is Lexi Colabianchi, and in the gray and black pants is AJ Hutchinson. They are a full round behind Ariel.
Wow. So she's lapping them. She's going to lap them.
Close to it. They both just finished their ski, and she's still working on it.
This is the final heat of Elite Women?
No, this is the second of 5.
Second of 5. All right. So are we going to see faster times than Ariel Sanders?
I lost you there.
Are we going to see faster times than Ariel Sanders?
Not sure. This is going to be a sub 7-minute time. She's clearly very tired at this point, but she's still moving well. 6:40 on the clock right now. The best Masters time was 6:52, and she's going to be faster than that. 6:47, the best time we've seen from anyone yet. Great performance, great start to competition for Ariel.
She looks happy to be done.
I mean, you could even see it on the ski that she was getting tired. Now, that's Bree Dunbar in the foreground, and what I didn't see it, but it looks like she failed a rep on the pegboard. Obviously, that's a super detrimental place to fail a rep. Lindsay Derby and now Sydney Moskowitz in lanes 3 and 1 have finished their pegboards in the last round. They're both working on their 15-calorie ski in round number 3.
So this is where the performance-based scoring is going to have a huge impact with that massive lead that Ariel Sanders just
that's relative. That's relative to the first 2 heats. There still could be plenty of other women that have relatively similar scores to her in the upcoming heats. Ultimately, the two marks that you want to be most aware of are the best overall score and the median score. Once you have those 2 figured out, everything else settles in really nicely. So on screen there, Lexi Colabianchi finishing up a pegboard in the middle of the floor. Lindsay Derby is working on her last 100 feet of yoke carry. 50 feet down as she drops it on the far side of the floor. She'll carry it back. 8:10 on the clock has elapsed. The fastest time in the first heat was 8:10, so she's setting up to have the third fastest time through 2 heats of the individual elite females.
Are the athletes briefed on the performance-based scoring? I don't mean in the details of it and the calculus of it. I mean in just like, hey, dude, the slower you go, the more you're fucked.
Yep, they're well aware. 8:27 finishing time for Derby. Sydney Moskowitz in lane number 1 is heading to the yoke, starting her last 100 feet of carry. She's in the gray tank top. We might be able to get Sydney finishing on the floor. I think Souza's got her. Hiller's got her as well. Last section. She has taken a few breaks on the yoke in earlier rounds. She fights through it there. Drops the yoke at 9:02. Very solid performance for her. 4th best time we've seen so far through 2 heats. There is lane number 2, AJ Hutchinson. She's working on her ski in the last round. And Bree Dunbar is still stuck on her final pegboard climb in lane number 6. And it looks like in lane 4.
That's not good. That's not
maybe a little bit of a resting position there. She's on her way back down, so she still has a chance. She has to get that last peg out soon. She's looking at the ground. It's not a good no. She's coming down.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
So Lexi off the wall. Lexi and Bree both caught up on the pegboard here. We did have two athletes in the first heat that were also got stuck on the pegboard. So, not that surprising. Very demanding implement. Not everyone has these in their gyms. Not everyone has a big chance to practice them. In the meantime, AJ Hutchinson finished her ski. She's heading to the yoke for her last 100 feet of carry, and she'll be the fourth finisher in this heat of 6.
Similar to the rope climb, if you come off that pegboard, it is extremely demoralizing, and it could be the end of your event. That is a tough situation to recover from, and get your arms and your body back engaged in that movement.
Last 20 feet for AJ. She sets it down, 10:27. Emily Myers' time of 10:05 to pass by. Celine Gonzalez, 9:53, passed by. Calista Schaffner's time, 10:07, passed by. So she let a lot of women pass her there at the end, but she was relatively close, within 20 or 30 seconds of all of those women from heat number 1. We still have 3 minutes to the time cap, and Bree Dunbar in lane 6 is getting set for another attempt, as it looks like Lexi's thinking about doing the same. Maybe we can get a wide shot of both of them as they go for a pegboard climb here. There we go.
And both of these girls have failed, right? The sticks have had to have been brought out to retrieve their pegs off the board.
Correct. And Bree was in third place in this heat and looking very good until she just hit a wall on this last climb. And this position that she's in here early in this climb, yeah, I would say it's very unlikely that she's going to be able to finish that rep. Yep.
God, lane 4 looks great for someone who failed just now. Oh, and that's it. It happened again.
That's called the commentator's curse, Sevan.
Wow, I apologize. Oh, she's coming down with that. Oh my goodness. Wow.
And so at this point, if I was them or coaching them, I would look at the clock. I would say a good pegboard climb for them is going to take 40 seconds or so. I would wait until there's 45 seconds remaining to see if I could get one more. Anything earlier than that, I think it's unlikely that they're going to be able to complete.
She's climbing so smoothly and then just literally just hitting a wall. I mean, she looked fresh, and then it was over. It was done.
Yeah, and for one rep that's going to take someone like that 40 or 45 seconds, the time under tension is significant. And, as you get closer to the top, if you're starting to feel it, like, it's still a long way to go. And it's not just a physical thing. It becomes a mental toll as well.
Jamie Latimer in the comments. Hi, Jamie. Congratulations. One event out of the way. Good job. Thanks for repping. Jared Graybill, James Sprague is going to crush this. The big man James Sprague, he has pegboard skills.
Oh yeah. This should be. We should see some really good, impressive performances from James. I think that he's going to get off to a really good start on day 1.
What's the time cap on this?
We have 1 minute and 10 seconds until the time cap. So they're approaching that time domain that I was recommending. They wait till. I think they've both made good decisions here. I would start my climb about 10 seconds from now if I were either of them.
What lap is she on? What round?
They're both on the last round. I believe Bree's on her last pegboard climb. Lexi, I'm not sure. 45 seconds to go. They're both halfway up the pegboard right now. This is where we've generally seen Lexi kind of hit a wall. We haven't seen Bree get this high on a pegboard climb for several minutes now.
Oh.
Lexi's on her way back down, and she looks pretty good here. She just needs to stay composed. Don't take the rep for granted. I think that she has the strength to finish this one. She's got to get both pegs in the hole below the blue line and show control on the wall before dropping.
One movement left. All she has to do is pull that peg out. Oh, my goodness.
And now Bree, who is a little bit slower, has 10 seconds. She's got to get both of those in. Oh, my God. So that's a good rep for Bree. Right before the buzzer. She'll take it.
Who was the other girl in lane 4? That's as close as you can get to finishing a pegboard, not finishing it.
Lexi Colabianchi.
Oh, Lexi, I'm so sorry. Man.
2 heats out of 5 are in the books. JR's talking. Let's listen.
Ownership. I was not made aware of that. All the cars that are parked across the street need to move to a different lot. Just this one right behind the building. I think it's a plastics building.
Irrelevant for us, but there's to reconfigure some parking.
I like it. It makes me feel like I'm there. Someone's getting in trouble.
What do you think about that camera work?
It's amazing. I can't believe that's Wi-Fi.
I wish you could see Souza's face, the level of focus.
Did he say he doesn't want any hose here, or he doesn't want anyone to get towed?
Will Brandstetter is on site.
Wow. So is the Jolly Green Giant. Who's that? Did
There
you
he
see the
is.
guy? Yeah, Will. What's up, baby?
Will, I got a gift for you if you can make your way over here. I don't think he can hear us.
Wow, that is awesome.
It's a massive apple.
Yeah, that girl next to him's like, I competed. How about a little love for me? We are
Dr. Kevin Steinhaus right there.
we are at CrossFit Crash watching the Crash Crucible in its 4th year, its biggest year. GoWad tossed up some loot and made this happen. Thank you. Big thank you to them. This is J.R. Howell's gym, the co-host of Shut Up and Scribble on the Sevan Podcast. It's a who's who in the media space. There's Jonathan Ortega. There was the media table there. And it looks like we're about to start the 3rd heat of 5 for the elite individual women. Mr. Brian Friend.
Left to right on your screen, Lindsay Lane in lane number 1. And let's try to keep a camera on her. She's going to do the first 2 pegboards unbroken, probably in less than 30 seconds. Brianna Wallen in lane 2, Annalise Moore in lane 3, Madeline Helms in lane 4, Ellie Hiller, podiumed here last year in lane 5, and Danielle Dunlap in lane 6. And I think that in terms of athletes that we know are good, we're ratcheting up the level here. This is the first of 3 heats of established women in this sport.
And this girl on the left in lane 1, this is the one that you said you think is going to go up and down. Oh, yeah, she's like a spider. Wow.
I actually picked her to finish 3rd overall for this competition for the weekend. She's the only female athlete who trains here at Crash. She has a lot of exposure to the high skill gymnastics, and she's very good at them, especially with the back-to-back finale looming on Sunday. She can make a big move on this workout, the handstand, and the last 2 of the weekend. And then, like I said, 30 seconds, 2 pegboards done. On the far side of the floor, both Ellie Hiller and Danielle Dunlap, and then also right next to her, Brianna Wallen, also done with 2 pegboards under 40 seconds. So 4 women, 2 pegboards under 40 seconds to start event 1 of heat 3 for the individual elite women.
Are they already pacing faster than the previous heats?
Yeah, for those first 2 pegboards, there may have been 1 or 2 athletes between the Masters and the first 2 heats that did that, but there's just a level of urgency. Just even their transition getting to the ski erg was a little bit more serious.
Are some of these women, do they have games aspirations, Brian, and what percentage of them?
Oh, that's difficult to say. Like Lindsay competes on a team traditionally with CrossFit Crash. I don't know about individually. And then, Danielle Dunlap definitely has aspirations for that. Ellie Hiller's in the pink. She's actually overtaken, or I guess they're neck for neck here, as we're going to see in a second. And she didn't get her yoke all the way across the footprint there, as we talked about. So that cost her a couple seconds. So early leader here, Lindsay Lane, Ellie Hiller, second. Danielle Dunlap wearing the Paper Street Coffee shirt. She's going to be 3rd in the heat. And Brianna Wallen, who has competed at semifinals as an individual in the past, 4th in the heat. All 4 of them are set to be done with this first round in about 2 minutes. That would be on pace for 6 minutes. The best time we've seen so far is closer to 7 minutes. So, yes, they're currently ahead of the pace. But I would say Ellie Hiller is a good, she's one to kind of keep an eye on. I talked about her last night. She's in her mid-20s. She's 3rd here last year. She's starting to get some more competition experience. She's got some proficiencies on some specific things. She's also an amazing swimmer. There's no swimming this year. There was last year, and that certainly helped her out. So,
any relationship to Andrew Hiller?
We talked about it last year, but no, I don't think so.
And our leader is still the leader.
Done. Lindsay Lane is done again. 2 pegboards in round 2 done under 40 seconds. Brianna Wallen's going for touch and go in lane number 2. Both Hiller and Dunlap are working on their second pegboard climb. Hiller is done with hers. She's heading back to the ski erg, 2nd in the heat. Danielle Dunlap done with hers, about 5 seconds behind Hiller. So Lindsay Lane, and then a tight battle between Hiller and Dunlap in lanes 5 and 6. Brianna Wallen still within touching distance of them. Both of the other women in the middle lanes, Annalise Moore and Madeline Helms, are also working on the pegboards in round number 2.
And this lady in the foreground, Lindsay Lane, this is your person who you thought was going to podium at this event?
Yeah, it's a bit of a dark horse pick. She hasn't I haven't seen her do individual competitions, but I know from watching her compete on a team and from talking to JR that she is very proficient with many of the things that are going to be tested here. She'll have to answer some questions with the heavy flip sled and the heavy thruster ladder, but I think that everything else bodes really well for her.
She's off.
Yeah, 3:45 on the clock. This Zurcher carry is no problem, so she's more or less still on pace for the fastest time that we've seen so far. She did duck under the yoke there, as you were asking about. Either is fine, but it is a very low yoke for the women to duck under. Ellie Hiller, not that far behind. As Lindsay drops it, you'll see Ellie coming in the foreground here. 4:04 on the clock as Lindsay heads back for her final round. The top time that we've seen so far is 6:47 from Arielle Saunders in the previous heat, so we'll keep that in mind. Ellie Hiller working on her second segment of yoke carry. Danielle Dunlap will be passing her going the other way. She's on her first section of the carry. They're still second and third in the heat.
Brian, we've talked about on the show many times about transitions and how transitions have evolved throughout the years from 2007 to the present and what it means to athletes and their times and speeds. And that ducking under the bar, that's the thing. It's like you're not making a transition. It's all still just one move. It's like almost like you're omitting it. There you go. Same here. Another high-level competitor. She wants to win. She ducks under the bar. Some people might say it's because of their size. I'm going to say it's because of their competitive nature and how they view the workouts.
Yeah. In this case, I would say it's probably both of those things. But she was also, what I like from Brianna there was as she turned around, she was eyeing down Ellie Hiller and Danielle Dunlap and looking at what their urgency was. And then she was kind of reacting to that by moving with some urgency herself because Danielle was walking pretty slowly to the pegboard.
Nick Steele, damn, Brian is good. No doubt.
Lindsay Lane on the screen there is working on her last pegboard climb. 5:20 on the clock. She's really close here. No. And she missed. And that is such a massive miss. Like, it's hard to quantify how massive of a miss that is because that could go from 100 points potentially on this workout. And if you give away a minute with already a really good time on the board from Arielle Saunders, and it could be more than that, quite frankly, Danielle Dunlap in lane 6 has overtaken the lead in this heat, and she is working on her ski erg. Wow, a massive misstep there with that. You talked about the smallest margin. That was literally one peg and one hole to go, and it's going to cost her massively.
What lane is Danielle Dunlap in? Can we see the leader? Can someone show me the leader?
She's in lane 6, the far other side of the floor.
And Lindsay has slowed down dramatically compared to her spider-like pace in the beginning. Was that a fatigue error or a mental error? Was it muscular failure?
Not sure. I mentioned it with the women that were struggling with the pegboard at the end of the second heat. You cannot take anything for granted on the pegboard. It's too much time and attention. Now, she finished another rep relatively quickly. That's still going to cost her at least a minute, closer to 90 seconds. So it's going to have a massive impact, but she still should have a top 10 finish on this when everything's said and done.
Is this
Danielle
the leader
Dunlap
here stuttering on
Yes.
camera one? Okay.
That's Danielle Dunlap, Paper Street Coffee, repping the shirt. Love to see it. Working on her last set of 15 calories. Lindsay Lane on the far side of the floor is working on him as well. And Ellie Hiller is now hit a wall on the pegboard as Brianna Wallen has passed her by. But we'll stay with the leader here. This is Danielle Dunlap. She's got 100 feet to go. 7 minutes has passed by. So Arielle Saunders' time from the first heat will stand up as the best time we've seen so far. The next time she's chasing comes from heat 1. Sienna Wilkening. That's 8:10. So there's a big amount of time until the next finisher. But the closer she can stay to Arielle, the better on the scoring system that this will yield for her, as I believe that it should.
What's the weight on the yoke?
185. 7:24 unofficial time there for Danielle.
7:16 was the time to beat.
6:47.
Woo!
Lindsay Lane heading to the yoke. She's still going to have a great time here. It's likely going to be the third best we've seen so far, but she probably gave a minute and 30 seconds away based on that one peg, one hole error that she made in the last pegboard of this workout. 7:55 on the clock. She's in at 7:57. So that's still 13 seconds faster than Sienna and a full minute and 10 seconds behind Arielle. Brianna Wallen will be the next finisher in this heat. She's working on her last set of 15 calories on the ski erg. She's in lane number 2. Oh, excuse me. Madeline Helms has passed her by. Madeline Helms has competed here in the past. Off the top of my head, I believe she was 5th place at Crash last year. That was
an efficient transition. That was insane.
Okay, Helms is in 8:32. We've seen other times right in this time domain. 8:27 from Derby in the previous heat. Brianna Wallen is getting set to finish her last 50 feet of carry and set this down right around the 8:50 mark. 8:50 exactly for her.
Man, it really shows you how fast Ariel Sanders is. She murdered it. She's really set herself apart from the pack at 6:47.
Annalise Moore there working on the skier. Again, in the background in the pink, you see Ellie Hiller, who was 2nd place early in this heat and looked great, has hit the wall on the last pegboard, as we saw athletes in the previous heat do. And, you know, the recovery, this only amplifies how impressive the recovery by Lindsay Lane was. Every other athlete that failed a rep like that has pretty much been stuck there for minutes. She was able to turn around and do another rep within, 90 seconds of failing one that she basically completed. In the meantime, Annalise Moore picking up her yoke, and she's got 100 feet to go, 9:35. And that was just a little slip on the forearms there, losing the core a little bit. She clears the white line. She'll turn around. She takes a look at the clock, 9:45. We saw a time of 10:05 and 10:07 earlier in the first heat. So if she can sneak underneath both of those, that'll be great for her. 9:56 unofficially for Annalise Moore. One athlete still in this heat. It's Ellie Hiller. She was 3rd place here at Crash Crucible last year. She was 2nd place in this heat early. Hit the stumbling block on the pegboards. Not uncommon to see. She's got a couple of pegs to go. Locks it in, and she'll head back. She's got 3.5 minutes to go. 15 calories and 100 feet. Should be no problem.
Kenneth DeLapp making the wise observation that Brian Friend is fueled by Paper Street Coffee. Code word Sevan.
I will say this for Ellie. It's really important that she finish. If she does, she's going to at least stay on the leaderboard as far as points go. If you don't finish this, you're probably going to get 0, I would say. It's looking like no one who hasn't finished has any points at this moment.
Yeah, that's if you missed our explanation earlier, basically there's going to be a top time. At this point, it's Ariel Saunders. There's going to be a median time. Based on what we've seen so far, that's probably going to be around 8.5 to 9 minutes, somewhere in that time domain. So the span of time that elapses from 6:47 until, let's just call it 8:47, is 2 minutes. That's 100 to 50 points on this scoring system. The same 2 minutes will be 50 points to 0. So that would put us at 10:47. So anyone who finishes 10:47 or later, or doesn't finish at all, will show up as a 0 on the leaderboard for this event. Those are hypothetical. We're past that time at this point, but we also don't know what the median score is going to be yet. So it's still worth it for her to finish. She's got 2 minutes and 20 seconds to do so.
And we still have 2 rounds to go at the Crash Crucible.
2 heats to go, correct.
2 heats to go. There's the table with Brian and Tyler Watkins. As the athlete passes in front of the table.
Ellie Hiller just past 12 minutes on the clock. She got about 5 feet to go. Got to get the entire yoke across the line. 12:07. Ellie Hiller completes event 1. 3 heats in the books for the women. Ariel Saunders, 6:47 out of heat 2 is still the time to beat. And we got 2 heats to go.
So right now, the median is around 10:06, which means that it's widening the gap for Ellie to give her points. But if that gets closer and closer, because the better athletes still have to go, if that gets closer and closer, that window shrinks for her. Sorry, I keep looking at Brian like you guys can see one cam.
No, it's fine. Yeah, you do. Oh, look, you got 2 cameras going. You got 2. The fourth of 5 heats will be starting very, very quickly. They are in a tight schedule here. Matter of fact, the this event 1 started 1 minute early, so J.R. Howell is actually ahead of schedule, which is better than being behind schedule. Oh, we haven't. We looks like here we go. You have to unmute yourself, Susan, so we can hear. He can't unmute himself.
JR said that they could park where they can't park right now, but tomorrow.
So more updates on the parking. If you are going to the event, don't get towed. And if you're not going to the event, you're a loser. And I'll be the king of losers. Sarah Summer, keep hydrated. Keep friend hydrated and caffeinated. Coverage is top notch. Thank you, Sarah Summer. Very kind of you. I have a word from GoWad. So listen up carefully, everyone. GoWad, born in and across. Take 4. GoWad, born in a CrossFit affiliate and designed for the community. GoWad, the leading mobility app, was created to allow every athlete to mobilize in a personalized way. So mobilizing for you. Download the app for free at the App Store. This event wouldn't happen if it wasn't for the people throwing loot at it, which is cool. And it's always a risk for them, right? I mean, I'm guessing for most sponsors, for most people who throw money at events like this, it's really just to support the community and grow it. And the expect on return is really spread over broad time. So when people like GoWad, CA Peptides, Swolverine, BIRTHFIT, when they trust us to give us money and represent their brands and get the word out about their products, how you can help is at least give them a look first and spend your money there, because then they'll think, oh, that was money well invested, and they'll continue to support events like this. It's pretty simple loop. So you support them, your loyalty to them gets more events like this. And pretty much everyone you see, by the way, I don't know anyone who's getting paid for their work. So this is one giant effort by everyone to push this thing forward. Of course, we love it. It's no sweat off our back. And thank you. And we're not even paying you to watch it. So thank you for watching.
Heat 4 of 5 for women, starting in 5 seconds. We got 6 athletes in this heat from left to right. Lane 1, Hannah Hardy. Lane 2, Emily B. Roth. She was 4th place here last year. Lane 3, Callista Lang. And my apologies, by the way, Sevan. Last night I told you that she won the inaugural Crucible. That is not true. Kalarina Key was the inaugural winner here. Callista Lang has competed here multiple times. Lane 4 is Lydia Fish, and I've been told that she has high potential with many of the workouts on tap this weekend. Lane 5, Mary Helen Saunders. And lane 6, Ashley Shoemaker, who I actually would have picked in my top 5. I forgot she was in the field. She was a replacement for Jordan Adcock, who had to withdraw due to injury about a week or 2 ago.
Are the Saunders and Sanders, are those relatives?
What?
Sisters, you said in this heat there's a Saunders, and in the last heat there was a Sanders, and I'm wondering if it's just a pronunciation change or if they are sisters.
Ariel Sanders was in heat 2. Mary Helen Saunders is in lane 5, and it's different spelling.
Okay.
In the I guess red and black there is Emily Bieroth. On the left of her is Hannah Hardy. Hannah Hardy completed CTT Black this past year at the CrossFit Games. Mike Needleman's also in the men's field. So team competitors in the game season competing here as individual athletes. I love to see that. I think it's really cool to be able to see what some of the best team athletes in the world can do against, a semifinal caliber field of individual athletes. All 6 of the women are working on the ski. No problems on the pegboard in round number 1 for any of these women in heat 4.
And so for those of you who know, there are 4 cameras and only 2 camera operators. Andrew Hiller from HillerFit, also out there on his own dime. And Matt Souza, all the way up from California, also out there on his own dime. So 2 camera operators, 4 cameras.
4 of the 6 women head to the yoke at the same time. The early lead, just by a couple steps in lane 3, is Callista Lang, closely followed by Hannah Hardy, Ashley Shoemaker, Lydia Fish, and Emily Beeroff. 5 of the 6 women are all within 5 feet of each other on this first round of the yoke carry, and not that far behind, but bringing up the rear, Mary Helen Saunders. So 2:16 has elapsed, and 5 of the 6 women are done with round 1.
These heats are getting more competitive. This is the athletes are getting better and better as we get to the premier heat.
Correct, but 2:16, if you extrapolate that for 3 rounds, puts you at exactly the time, actually 1 second slower than Ariel Saunders from heat number 2. So that first round pace is the pace you have to maintain if you want to beat her time on this event.
Looks like we have a little bit of an internet lag. I apologize. Maybe we've consumed all our bandwidth already, reached our limit for the day.
Hopefully not. We got about 9 hours to go. 8 hours to go.
I can't even believe how long today is.
Tomorrow's longer. It's great. But we have Pedro tomorrow. Pedro's as good as like 3 of us.
Right. Good point.
Ashley
He won't
Shoemaker
be
in the
jet lagged.
foreground in lane number 6. Chalking up between attempts on the pegboard. Lane number 4, Lydia Fish pulls ahead of the pack. She's the first of the skier, second in lane number 2. Emily Beeroth and Hannah Hardy right behind her. So Lydia Fish with maybe a 1 or 2 calorie lead over Beeroth and Hardy in the second of 3 rounds. This is, if you missed it earlier, this is a rewritten version of Aeneas, the 2018 CrossFit Games finale for the individuals. The women have 3 rounds, 2 pegboard ascents, 15 calorie ski, 100-foot Zurcher yoke carry with the empty yoke that weighs 185 pounds.
Time to beat, 6:47.
Exactly. Ariel Saunders, heat number 2. Callista Lang has joined the women on the ski, and Ashley Shoemaker making her way there as well. Mary Helen Saunders working on the pegboards in round 2. So leader Lydia Fish, 4 other women on the ski with her. We'll see what happens here as they get done with the ski and head to the yoke.
I apologize for the spottiness. I don't know why. For the last 30 seconds, we've had some pretty choppy internet. Brian's camera looks like it's working well. Oh, here we go. Nope, it's in and out.
Hannah Hardy takes over the lead from Lydia Fish on the ski. She's in lane 1 there in the white top and dark shorts. We may see Lydia come into frame here in the gray t-shirt and black. There she is. Lydia did compete at semifinals this year as well. She's a very young athlete, 19 or 20 years old, coming up in the space. She's taking over on the yoke here. So Hannah Hardy and Lydia Fish, step for step. Emily Beeroth, 50 feet behind them. Those will be the top 3 women in heat number 4 here. 1 round to go. 5 minutes have passed. So Ariel Saunders' time is going to stand again with only 1 heat remaining. Callista Lang, 50 feet done with her yoke carry. But Hannah Hardy's first up on the wall. Lydia Fish about 2 seconds behind her. So Hardy and Fish battling for the lead in this heat. Ashley Shoemaker's picked her yoke up. She's finishing up round number 2. And Mary Helen Saunders only a couple seconds behind her. So pretty tight heat start to finish. But Lydia Fish and Hannah Hardy are battling for the lead currently.
Lane 4, what an aggressive descent. What an aggressive descent.
Yeah, and it's like if you have the proficiency of practicing this, you can really, on the way down especially, reduce. It's like a wall walk. Instead of taking 6 or 8 steps in, if you can do it in 2 to 3 steps, it's much easier. And same thing on the way down from the pegboard. If you can skip a bunch of pegs, you're going to reduce the time under tension dramatically.
On the way up, can you skip as many as you want also?
Yes.
Okay, so the only rule is get to the top, both pegs in, get to the bottom, both pegs in.
And Lydia Fish very fast there on that final round of pegboards. 6:10 has elapsed. This usually takes about 90 seconds or 100 seconds to do. So we're looking at a time that's still going to be under 8 minutes, but it's likely going to be 45 seconds to a minute slower than Ariel. All of the other women are still working on the pegboard in the last round. So Lydia has pulled herself ahead of the field here. And I don't know if we see it on the screen, but Hannah Hardy is hanging on the wall and she's failing her last pegboard, and she's going to drop down. Ashley Shoemaker in the right side of the screen, white and blue. On the far left side in the red and black is Emily Beeroth, who's getting ready to finish her last pegboard climb. But as we know, nothing can be taken for granted, especially on this 6th and final pegboard climb. B-Roth locks it in. Second one to finish the last pegboard. Lydia Fish, 5 calories to go. She's going to be the heat winner. Emily B-Roth likely in second. And we'll see who is going to be the next one off the wall to join them.
How close is Lydia to setting a new record for the event?
The time to beat's already passed by 20 seconds ago.
Mm.
The next score, Danielle Dunlap, is going to pass by about 10 seconds from now, 7:27 or so. So 7:20 on the clock right now. Lydia Fish is likely going to have the third fastest time that we've seen. So Ariel Saunders, 6:47. Danielle Dunlap, 6:27. That has passed. Lindsay Lane, 7:57, and that's with a failed attempt on the pegboard. That was almost good. But Lydia Fish, 7:38, third best time we've seen so far. Excellent for Lydia.
Ariel Sanders' time is so fast, makes you even wonder if she missed a round. It's crazy.
Don't forget, Caroline Klutz, the Masters women, did the exact same event, and Caroline Klutz was 6:52, only 5 seconds slower than Ariel.
Nuts.
Hannah Oakley, also Masters, 7:16, is the third best time of anyone that we've seen so far. So 2 of the 3 best times we've seen so far with 1 heat to go for the individual elite division come from the Masters division. Emily B. Roth there in the red sports bra. She's getting set on her last 100. She'll be the second finisher in this heat. 8:20 has elapsed on the clock. There's a bunch of times in this range. Lindsay Derby, 8:27. Madeline Helms, 8:37. Brianna Wallen, 8:50. So she's going to fall somewhere in the middle there. She's moving very fast. This is good for her. 8:34.
Aggressive camera work, catching somebody falling off the wall and then straight to the final Zurcher carry. Great work.
So 2 women done. Hannah Hardy is resting after failing a pegboard climb. The other 3 women are working on their ski. In lane number 3, Callista Lang has finished her ski. She's got 100 feet to go on the carry here. Callista, another young athlete, but a veteran of Crucible. 50 feet to go. 9:05 has passed on the clock. Sydney Moskowitz, 9:02 has just gone by. And then there's a big gap after that. So this is actually a really good score here. Callista Lang, 9:16. That's on the right side of the median score that we're approximating for the field. Shoemaker's got her yoke off the ground. She's basically running with it as Mary Helen Saunders is only 20 feet behind her. 9:30 has passed. Shoemaker making the turn. Saunders dropping her yoke behind her. Both are looking to chase down times of 9:56 and 10:05 that we saw from previous finishers. Shoemaker in at about 9:40. Mary Helen Saunders in about 9:45. Those are really right in that range of that median score that we're talking about. So we can expect 50, 60 points likely for both of them. Both solid performances. And that leaves Hannah Hardy, who is an early leader here. And as we've seen before, the last pegboard with about half of the descent to go, she wasn't able to finish it. She's been standing there for 2 full minutes, which I actually think is a smart decision if she's able to get this pegboard climb done right now.
That was a wicked hand tear somebody had.
Hannah Hardy, one of several training think tank athletes who's here this weekend. And this is exactly the spot on the last pegboard where she got caught up. She basically has 2 moves to go. She needs to get left hand below, right hand below. And
oh, my goodness. 1 peg away again. My goodness.
And that's crushing for her. If she finishes that, she likely banks some points. Not doing so, and the amount of rest that she's going to need to take here, she may have one more chance at it. But either way, it's likely going to yield 0 points in the first event for Hannah Hardy. Man, Sevan, 2 of my picks missed their last pegboard in this first event. And that's big time in terms of the overall competition.
Yeah, that's devastating, right? Especially if they get 0 in the performance-based scoring.
Well, Lindsay Lane will not get 0, but she will probably go from somewhere close to 100, between 95 and 100 points to something more in the 80-point range.
It's a bad sign when you're yawning and you're only 2 hours into a 12-hour day.
Who's doing that?
No, I can't tell you. He shall not be named. What was the time cap once again on this, Brian?
14 minutes. We have 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go until the time cap. based on what we've seen from Hannah here and what we saw from athletes previously, it looks like she's getting ready to go. I probably would not advise this. I would probably wait another 30 to 60 seconds before attempting one last climb. But she may be thinking, if I'm going to finish this, I need to go now. And that might be the deciding factor for her. She might not think that the one rep is worth it. She may want to leave time in case she finishes it to rip on the skier.
What's the weight for the boys on the Zercher carry? And do they do more pegboard climbs also?
Yes, one more per round. Hannah Hardy, the final athlete working here, event 1, heat 4 for the individual elite women. And she gets to basically the same spot and goes down again. And 1 minute, 20 seconds to the time cap. So that'll likely do it for event 1 for Hannah Hardy. And, we have talked about this many times, Sevan. I've spoken about it on broadcasts that have done this offseason already. As an athlete, when you come to a competition like this, if the first event doesn't go your way, a huge component of being good in this sport or great in this sport is how you overcome adversity. This type of thing happens to people all the time. We can, of course, cite references from history of eventual CrossFit Games champions who have experienced this on the rope climb, experienced this with the pegboard, experienced this with the ring muscle up or a barbell that they couldn't lift. It happens. And, we can list off those big names. What you do after this is what defines you as an athlete in this space. So even if you've never experienced this, know that at some point you probably will, and it's not a problem. Like, it happens to everyone. What you do next is what matters.
Guys, incredible play-by-play by Brian. You could be listening to this and follow along. Also, great commentary and insight into what's going on in the big picture. So he's got the micro and the macro, and then the camera work to bring you close-up shots of this and see this unfolding in real time. Proud to be a part of this. Great job, guys.
And that's a time cap for heat 4. 4 of 5 heats are in the books. Ariel Saunders' time, 6:47, still stands. We've had several impressive times in the 7 and 8 minute range. One heat of elite individual women to go on event 1 here at Crash Crucible.
I wonder if JR had any thought that someone would do this in 6:47 when you make a 14-minute time cap.
The fact that he came over and immediately told me that he thought Caroline Klutz's time would be top 3 amongst the individual elite women makes me think, and not to my surprise, that he knew exactly what a top time was possible of this workout. I know that Lindsay Lane could do that under 7 minutes. I know that Lindsay Lane could do it under 7 minutes. He knew that from testing. And so I think he did have somewhat of an idea of what a top score could be here.
What appears to be a flawless event being run at the Crash Crucible at CrossFit Crash in Spartanburg, South Carolina. This is day 1 of a 3-day competition. It's in its 4th year. This is the final heat of event 1 women. But the top time from heat 2 is going to be very difficult to beat from Ariel Sanders, Ariel Sanders.
Sanders, correct. And we have this last heat. We started in about 1 minute. And as I mentioned earlier, JR and I did our best based on what we know about these athletes to kind of filter with the more established athletes based on previous competition in the final heat. So most likely you'll recognize some names or more of the names in this than you have in some of the previous heats. It doesn't necessarily guarantee anything, especially on a workout with a pegboard in it that we've seen cause some very good athletes trouble in that last round.
The men will do an additional pegboard ascent and descent, and will do an extra 5 calories on the ski erg, and the yoke will go from 185 to 300. Boy, that sounds like too big of a jump to me. Double.
I think it goes to 285. They're adding 25s on every and on each of the 4 carriers.
Okay.
5 seconds to go. Final heat of women, event 1, left to right on the floor. Amanda Fisher in lane 1, Allison Wynn in lane 2, Aaliyah Miller in lane 3, Chloe Wilson lane 4, Hannah Black lane 5, Eva Harvang lane 6. Now, a lot of these women are actually on the bigger side of the field in terms of height and weight and just physical appearance. But so is Ariel Saunders. So there's no reason that a bigger bodied athlete can't do very well on this test. If you manage the pegboard climbs, that's an advantage on the ski and the yoke.
And you were also saying, speaking of bigger bodied athletes, the giant James Sprague will be here, and you have no doubt he will also crush these pegboards, correct?
Emma Harving, 30 seconds. She's off the wall, touch and go, ripping on the ski erg, and she's going to have at least a 15-second lead over the final heat of women here. Aaliyah Miller, 45-second mark, second off the wall, and right behind her, Chloe Wilson, who probably comes into this weekend as most people's favorite to win the competition. Chloe Wilson has been within 5 total spots of making it to the games over the last 3 years at semifinals.
Which one's our leader? Which lane is our leader, Brian?
Leader's in lane number 6. She's in the background there. Aaliyah Miller in the gray and purple is in second place. Chloe Wilson in the all green is in third place in the heat currently. The rest of the women are also off the wall, all of them under 1 minute 15 seconds for 2 pegboard climbs, but it's a big range. As you see, Harving heading to the yoke just about 10 seconds after about half the heat got to the skier.
Where can you make up the most time on this workout?
You can lose the most time on the pegboard. You can
Right.
make up the most time on the pegboard.
Fair. But you can't lollygag at all, as we've learned, if you want to win this on the yoke. You have to be basically going faster than walking, and you have to make your transition perfectly smooth. No dilly-dally.
Yeah, a little bit of a stumble there by Aaliyah at the transition, and that allowed Chloe to catch her up. So Harving working on the pegboard. Wilson and Miller battling for second in the heat, just about finishing the yoke. 2:10 as elapsed on the clock. Only Harving has had a fast enough round 1 split time to have a chance to take down Ariel Saunders for the overall lead. Both Wilson and Miller are walking slowly to the pegboard, which tells me that there's not a ton of confidence, and they probably won't be doing these unbroken. Harving is going for another set of unbroken pegboards in round number 2. This is her second in the round 2. It's able to establish control below the line, and that is another 40-second split on the pegboard for Harving, who is looking exceptional here in event number 1. The rest of the women have all finished up. It was Amanda Fisher, Allison Nguyen, and Hannah Black, all within about 10 seconds of each other, finishing that first round. We're just at the 3-minute mark, so all the women in the final heat finished the first round under 3 minutes. But the amount of urgency or lack of urgency that I see of these ladies attacking the pegboard, with the exception of Harving, gives me pause for concern. And basically what I would be thinking if I was these athletes here is make sure I don't miss a rep.
On the pegboard.
On the pegboard. Nothing else. For these women in particular, they should be better than the field on the ski and the yoke. But if you, as we've seen, heat after heat after heat, one lapse of judgment in terms of going too early on the pegboard can cost you in this workout potentially more detrimentally than any other decision the entire weekend. The tricky thing is, this is event 1, so everyone feels great. So you're not fatigued. You're not saying, oh, I did a bunch of whatever yesterday that's pre-fatiguing me. No, you're ready to go, but you have a movement where the risk reward is as big as ever. Here's Emma Harving, 3:50 have elapsed on the clock, and she's going to be done with this round right about the 4:10 mark. That keeps her in the ballgame to potentially take the overall win here. Ariel Saunders' time of 6:47 is the one that you'll have to ultimately track down.
Hey, Tyler, I'm going to boot you out of the studio and see if that will help the picture quality. Sorry. I apologize for the stutter, guys. I think it'll be in and out all weekend. JR was kind enough to get a new line ran to CrossFit Crash. But for some reason, we're getting some pretty bad stutters now. I removed Tyler Watkins from the stream. Let's see if that helps get us more bandwidth for the remaining cameras.
So Emma Harving taking her time before starting the last 2 pegboards. The other 5 women in this heat managed round 2 very well. All 5 of them are working on the ski erg. Aaliyah Miller and Chloe Wilson are literally rep for rep with 2 reps each to go on the ski erg. They're currently battling for second in the heat. They should be heading to the yoke at the same time. Fisher, Nguyen, and Black all also on the ski erg. 5 minutes have passed. So we have 1 minute and 47 seconds until the time to beat. Emma Harving is taking a break between reps 1 and 2 on the pegboard. So Ariel Saunders from heat number 2 looking like she's going to take 100 points and the event 1 here for the elite women at Crash. An unexpected winner.
So this lady on the pegboard in lane 6, she is in the lead.
She's in the lead. She's actually in a great position to take second or third overall amongst all the women in this field, but I don't think she's going to have enough time. So she has a minute and 15 seconds exactly to do 15 calorie ski and the pegboard. It's not impossible. Like I said, she's one of the bigger athletes here. She can definitely get some power cranking on this. She did take her time on the pegboards, executed perfectly in my opinion. So I would say first or second is a guarantee for Harvang here. Miller and Wilson are back on the wall, finishing their second round. They're kind of looking at each other, deciding who's going to go on the pegboard. Fisher is tied up with him now in terms of reps. Allison Wynn is dropping off her yoke. She's at the exact same point of the workout. Hannah Black doing her last 50 feet. So it's Harvang and then everybody else here in the final heat of individual women, wrapping up event number 1.
God, this is great. As you talk, I can switch the cameras and choose the athletes you're talking about instead of the other way around.
5 calories to go for Harvang. 23 seconds until the time to beat. And last calorie, she's going to run with this thing. It's going to come down to it. She needs to hurry. Like, I don't think she realizes how close she is to her time. 10 seconds to go down and back. I don't think it's going to be enough, but this is a great example of where performance-based scoring can be rewarding. Second place in a points per performance, you're guaranteed X number of points. With 30 athletes or so in the field, it's probably 5-6 point gap between every placement. Here, she's only 8 seconds behind, and because of the way that everything's distributed, that'll likely be 98 points, something similar to that. So 6:55 was her time. Harvang will take second place overall in the event. Ariel Saunders from Heat 2 will be your overall winner. Danielle Dunlap's time of 7:27 looks like it's going to stand up as the third best time. And even though she failed a rep and had to redo the entire thing, Lindsay Lane at 7:57 is looking good for fourth overall in the event. Chloe Wilson has pulled ahead of the rest of the field. She's the first one back to the skier. The other 4 women are all kind of eyeing each other. Aaliyah Miller falls off the wall with very little work left to do in her last pegboard. Amanda Fisher in lane number 1 completes her pegboard, passes Miller. So it's Wilson and then Fisher working on the ski in the final round. 7:45 as the laps on the clock. Both of these times are still going to score very well against the entire field.
Incredible time by Ariel Sanders. What a crazy time. She wasn't in the fastest heat, and yet she won with a 6:47 with no one close. Second place, 12 seconds away.
8 seconds away. And you know what? If they had been going head-to-head, that might have looked a little bit different. But I think it could have been actually detrimental for Harvang because she might have pushed too hard on the pegboard. I don't think we can let this pass by without saying that Caroline Klutz from the Masters division, 6:52, the second best score amongst all women, Masters or Elite, that have competed here. Chloe Wilson on the middle of your screen, 8:20 on the clock, 100 feet to go. Amanda Fisher in the background has closed most of the gap. She's working on her last carry. Chloe turns around very efficiently. She's going to make her way back there. This is going to be a top 10 score for Chloe Wilson. 8:37, and Wilson's in the books. Fisher is right behind her, 25 feet to go. And we've had a bunch of times in this range. 8:45 for Fisher. She's done. Aaliyah Miller has fallen to the back of this heat. Here comes Allison Wynn. She's in lane number 2. She's picked up her yoke. She's got less than 100 feet to go. 9 minutes have passed by. We still have 5 minutes to go to the time cap. We know that there are a bunch of times in this rain. Moscovitz's time of 9:02 has just passed by. Shoemaker's time of 9:10 is looming. Allison Wynn is going to be done, and that is 9:11. So 1 second slower than Shoemaker unofficially. Hannah Black has the yoke up. She's 50 feet in the books. She didn't get it all the way across. Precious seconds drifting by. She still hasn't gotten it all the way across. Now the judge is giving it to her. I don't think she should have. Turns it around, 50 feet to go. 9:30 on the clock has passed. And I think a very well-managed workout to start things off. 9:32 for Hannah Black. That's going to keep her right in the middle of the field, and that's exactly where I think she needs to be. She is an athlete that we know can hit home runs on a couple of these workouts. So on a gymnastics-specific test like the pegboard there, no mistakes, good finish for Hannah Black to get her competition started.
Man, there was some urgency in those final yokes. Those were some of the fastest yoke carries we've seen of the day so far. And like you were saying, Caroline Klutz, yeah, that is incredible. Masters athlete, second best overall in the event, even competing against the elite women, a large elite women's class.
word from scoring is that you're going to need to finish this event in under 12 minutes and 30 seconds if you want to log any points. Right now, we're at the 10:20 mark. So Aaliyah Miller obviously doesn't know that, but watching, we can already tell you that if she doesn't finish this pegboard climb, 15 calories and the yoke carry before 12:30 elapses, it's going to be a 0 either way. That's because the known median score, which won't change very much based on her performance, and the leader is equivalent to that median score and the 12:30 mark on the clock. And this looks pretty fluid. She needs to stay focused here at the end. So really, I think that comes down to an execution error. And as we saw with Hannah Hardy and a few others, including Lindsay Lane, even though she was 4th in the event, those execution errors on the pegboard pay off. They cost big time on the points.
No, Bam, we are having we're having a little bit of skipping here. A lot of skipping. A lot of skipping. One athlete left on the floor. This is the final heat of Event 1 Elite Women at the Crucible in Spartanburg, South Carolina. All of the pertinent details of the competition are brought to you by Brian Friend. On the cameras, we have Andrew Hiller and Matt Souza. Proud to be a part of this on the Sevan Podcast. Caleb running the back end.
Sevan, I think Hiller's going to hardwire me into the Wi-Fi
Okay.
to take one more computer off of it, or hardwire me into the Ethernet to take one more off the Wi-Fi after this one. So we'll see if that helps. But
Thank you.
we'll stick with this one to the end. 30 seconds until the time where 0 points would happen for her. She's finished the ski. 12 minutes have passed. This is Aaliyah Miller. 50 feet to go on the Zercher yoke carry, 185-pound yoke. 20 seconds until that time that we project as being worth 0, so she can still get some points on the board here. And after making that mistake at the last pegboard, I think a good way to rally. And 12:19 unofficially for Aaliyah Miller. That'll do it for all of the women. First event in the books for them. Ariel Saunders, 6:47. Eva Harving, 6:55. Top 2 times, only 2 times in this division under 7 minutes. They joined Caroline Cuts, 3 women able to finish first event under 7 minutes, and the men will be doing a similar version shortly after.
Souza, if you can hear me, maybe in the future events, I know we're short on manpower, but maybe we could get someone to man camera 3, so maybe to rotate it. But if not, you guys got a great system going, and thank you for that. Caleb, are we going to go? Can we go down and start a new stream?
Yeah, we can if you want to.
Okay, I think we should. Let me see the time. Let me check the time here. Let me check the time here that we're going to go back live again. Check the spreadsheet here. It looks like Masters Male Event 1 start time is 11:27. So that is in 4 minutes. We could fire that up at 11:30. We can come in 3 minutes late. Are you guys cool with that? We come in 7 minutes late? 3 minutes late? Let's do it. All right, guys, we're taking this stream down. We will be live again in 7 minutes with the Masters Male Event 1. We will see you guys in 7 minutes. Thank you for your patience, and